Every year, I am so amazed that they pack so many badass women in one room and nothing like blows up or explodes. It's amazing to be here, and the energy is fantastic. So first, I'd like for you all to give yourselves a huge round of applause for simply being here. You could have been anywhere, closing deals, wrangling boardrooms, hiding in your closet with a glass of Pinot. That's what I would do. But you chose to invest these moments in yourself, and it's amazing. That, my friends, is the first intentional choice on our journey to designing a life that you love. For those of you that are new friends, you did a great job introducing me, but I'm going to share just a little bit more. I'm Cassie. I've been around the channel for a long time, been around the block a time or two. I've worked in many different areas within the channel. Outside of the channel, I've been married for 16 years and have 4 very strong-willed children. Have no idea where they get it from. I'm known for being unapologetically authentic, for providing an unfiltered, candid perspective, and building really powerful, inclusive teams. A lot of you are here, and you're badass women. But most importantly, what we do is we get shit done, and we do it with innovative impact. So I'm really super excited to be here with y'all, and hopefully I'll share a couple of things today that will resonate with at least one of you and help you along with your journey as well. So let's start with maybe a truth. None of us arrived at badass woman status by accident. We've made choices. Some of them bold, sometimes panicked, and sometimes while eating leftover birthday cake at midnight. But here's the thing. The most extraordinary lives are not built by chance. They're designed brick by brick and intention by intention. And today, we're going to talk about how to move from living by default to living by design, and how to find and celebrate your authentic self in that process. Because your authentic self, maybe you're the one in sweatpants during the day, hiding behind the screen, maybe you're covered in tattoos, maybe you have purple hair, maybe strong opinions, maybe you're soft-spoken, maybe you're a fashionista, maybe you're the traveler, maybe you bake cakes, maybe you're anything in between. But that authentic you, that authentic self that you're bringing, that is your secret sauce. Authenticity is the most valuable thing that you bring to any table. When you apply that authenticity with intentionality, joy, and happiness, you'll find that fulfillment and freedom aren't prizes at the end of a finish line. They're experiences, and those experiences are available to us every single day. So let me ask you, if you described your life as a house, then are you living in that penthouse or farmhouse that you've always dreamed of? Or are you maybe stuck in the laundry room looking for missing socks and your sense of purpose? I've been there. Let's face it, designing that life that you love, it sounds amazing. But what if you have no idea what you actually love? What if you wonder every day, is this my purpose? Should I be doing this? Do I really enjoy that? We all are. But maybe you do know what's happening and you do know what you love, but guilt keeps sneaking into your calendar with sticky notes that maybe you read should, ought to, and maybe I must, and you're feeling all of this burden. If that is you, and it was me, then we should all be thinking and saying, F it, and moving on, and finding those things that we love. So I talk to a lot of women, and just a lot of people in general, but specifically I mentor a lot of women in the channel. And I often ask them, what brings you joy? And some women said, spreadsheets? and now look, I see some hands out there, and there are Excel gurus that are clapping right now and celebrating that authenticity. There was another woman that whispered, well, I love painting, but maybe that's not serious enough. Well, why the hell not? Who decided that joy had to be serious? Teddy Roosevelt said that comparison is the thief of joy. I'll say it again. Comparison is the thief of joy. What makes you happy and what makes you authentic is you, and it doesn't matter what anybody else has to say about it. So there's a lot of social media out there, right? And there's a lot of days that I see people posting about these amazing travel adventures and all of these experiences that they're having in their lives, and they seem so happy and fulfilled, and I definitely get that FOMO from seeing all of those posts. And I'm definitely a little jealous when they're showing their fabulous, flawless houses and talking about their cleaning ladies. I don't have a cleaning lady. But I know that those stories that we see on social are just a snippet, a glimpse into one moment of people's lives. And we all have amazing experiences. I have them, but not every moment can be amazing. And that's okay. We need to celebrate those things. So 4 years ago, we made the move from Boca Raton, Florida, to Dixon, Tennessee. I traded in the beach. I walked to the beach in like 10 minutes when we lived in Boca. It was amazing. For a farm. And at this farm, we raise pigs. We raise chickens and turkeys. We do a lot of gardening and have a homestead. We didn't think that, all that sounds beautiful, right? It was definitely a thing that brought us joy. But when we were looking, we didn't think that we needed to be worried about internet access. It was 2021 when we bought our farm. And it was America, right? I shouldn't have to think about that. Well, I was very wrong. So for 3 years, I used a Verizon hotspot for everything. And I lived, thank you, Verizon. Also, thank you, AT&T, for supporting my OnStar habit. So we lived in this 3G world out on the farm. And there was this one spot in the pasture where I could either get 4 bars of 3G or 2 bars of 4G on a really good day at like 2:30 in the afternoon. And so those were the days that I scheduled those meetings where I had to be on camera. And so here's it is. Many of you are recognizing this. So I would go out to this fence post, and I deemed it my standing desk. It was very appropriate. And so when there was bad weather, I jumped into the car, I drove out to the pasture, and I used my dashboard desk, and thank you AT&T and OnStar, to stay connected. And many people got to witness that Discovery Channel view of our place. It was a little messy. But I was out there, and we were happy, and this was where I felt that I needed to be. And there's definitely days that we're cleaning out the chicken coop, or I might get chased by a rooster. For any of you guys that have had roosters, you know that the struggle is real. Or maybe even worse, I slipped in the pig pen. Absolute worst. So on those days, then you have those thoughts where you're like, oh my God, where the hell did I go wrong? And what have I done to make these life decisions? But then when I stop and think about it, this is my happy place for now. And while my happy place might change, then I find the joy in the simple things. Hiking through the woods, watching my kids climb trees and run in the fields, sitting on my back porch, drinking whiskey on the back porch and looking at the sunset, right? Those are the things that fulfill me and make me happy. Weird clicking here. So within these things that make me happy, I bring those perspectives, that experience to every engagement that I have. And it's that authenticity and that different perspective that contributes to the value that I'm bringing to the company, to my friendships and relationships. And I bring those experiences and perspective with candid stories, with very vocal opinions, and feedback on every engagement. So let's think about it from your guys' perspective. If I handed you a blank Saturday, no obligations, no emails, what would you do just for you? Shout it out, don't be shy. Sleep, I love that. We could all use a little more. All right, if somebody says, I can only hear a few of you, but if somebody says deep cleaning my garage, you can meet me at the bar afterwards. Right? The most important room in the blueprint of your life isn't the office. It's that space where you let yourself be fully you. That's where the fulfillment starts. I am 100% an introvert. That's why I live on a farm in the middle of the nowhere so that there's no people around, right? But I need that alone time to rejuvenate. So if I'm not spending time with the kids, usually on a blank Saturday, you can find me probably with a little nip of Jack Daniels in my teacup, reading a book somewhere, or daydreaming in the rocking chair while the bread's rising in the kitchen, right? These are the moments that I get to enjoy, that I do for me, to find that joy and fulfillment. Intentionality. This is a big topic today. Intentionality for me is the difference between being on autopilot and being the pilot. And I don't mean the kind of autopilot where there's 3 surprise Amazon boxes that arrive on your porch. I mean, anybody else besides me wake up and finish a little Christmas shopping this morning? Really appreciate you, Prime. Living with intention means making conscious choices. It's not just reacting to every ping, every ding, every calendar invite. It's giving yourself permission, setting those boundaries, saying no without following up with a novel response or an apology. It's about deciding where your energy actually lands. I used to say yes to every request, all of them. Bake sales, you got it. Stretch projects, sign me up. Advisory committees, I got opinions. Rescue missions for dogs, I'm there for Fido, right? My calendar looked like this Jackson Pollock painting. Splattered chaos everywhere. I was really busy, but I just wasn't fulfilled. My first wake-up call came, 6 or 7 years ago, when my daughter created avatars for the whole family. Mine was a mom, hunched behind a laptop, tired eyes, messy bun, just peeking above the screen. Sad. I was really well on my way to winning that Mother of the Year award. Well, that was my cue. At that point, I made an intentional move to the point of turning things off when the clock hit 5, making sure that I was really present for the kids when they were home. And there are still times that the laptop glows after bedtime, and don't tell my boss, but there's always times that I push that to-do list to the next day. I've become really relentless about prioritization and at least striving for some of that harmony between work and personal, because we all know that balance is really a unicorn, right? But the harmony is true. I've told my team for years, guys, if you're clocking more than 45 hours a week, it's time to prioritize. And the research backs me up on this. Work more, accomplish less. We need hobbies. We need a social life. We even need time to clean the toilets and the not so glamorous things, right? And this was really hard for me. So as a child of a chronic workaholic, it takes every ounce of my being and discipline to walk this talk. But every day I get better. And my secret is treating your calendar like Manhattan real estate. Would you let somebody build a parking lot in your living room? No. So why let somebody squat in your day? Schedule your priorities first, and then you're running your day, not the other way around. And when you're in control, it makes it a lot easier to find that power to say no. Who here has ever said yes to something and immediately regretted it? If your hand's not up, you're either lying or you said no to my question. So I am a stubborn learner. Sometimes it takes a not-so-gentle nudge or maybe a full-on kick in the ass to really reset my priorities. And that avatar moment should have been the only inflection point that I needed. But I kept piling more and more onto my plate, both at home and at work. And just really clinging to this mantra that I had that stress is a waste of time. Well, it is, but there's some other things that go along with it. So a couple of years ago, my body staged a protest. I had tingly arm, things slipping from my hands, IBS flare-ups, brain fog, tired all the time, and a brand new prescription for glasses. And the doctors were convinced that I had MS. So after all of these test scans and a lot of poking, it turns out that it wasn't a mess. I had actually had a stroke before I turned 40. Well, that's not all. There's always silver lining, right? But there is nothing like a medical plot twist. So once the shock wore off and I had a drink about it, then I finally got serious about intentional living. I have a drink about a lot of things. So after months of what felt like a whole season of house, they found that I had a hole in my heart and it was causing these blood flow issues. So short version is the blood wasn't catching enough oxygen and that led to the stroke. So I had the hole plugged, and as of April, I am no longer a heart patient. Thank you. And thankfully, no lasting symptoms, unless you count that occasional train wreck of thought, but I'm also a geriatric millennial, and so it could just be part of that. But the bottom line is I was really lucky, grateful, and determined to really fully honor those commitments that I made in those laptop avatar days. So now I take time off. I'm present for my family and for my team. I do the things that make me happy. Living intentionally isn't a luxury. It is non-negotiable self-care. Intentional choices aren't just there to fill your calendar. They fill you up. And I'm betting all of you have read Simon Sinek's Find Your Why. I see lots of head nods. So for years, I said my why is making a difference. And it is, but making a difference shifts daily. Helping a partner build a new revenue stream, coaching someone for an interview, surviving high school math with a little help from my friend AI. All of those things are really important. And it wasn't until I completed this leadership course, Rima Lolis, for any of you that know her, has a course called Unstoppable Leadership, and it was then that I was kind of forced to really dive into why my why is making a difference. And the answer is that it's because it makes me happy. And I learned this through some of this deep self-reflection during this course, that when you're serving yourself, it's not selfish. That's really hard for a lot of us, right? Serving yourself helps you design for freedom. Freedom is that holy grail, right? It's that ability to choose, to pivot, to have room for laughter and adventure, and maybe a little dose of some beautiful chaos out there. So here's the secret. Freedom isn't the absence or the elimination of mess. It's having the guts and the grit to dance in it anyway. So we all know that those Instagram perfect lives are mostly ring lights and clever filters, and real freedom comes from accepting that imperfection and being brave enough to own your own story. And we've talked a little bit about imposter syndrome today. And I was talking with Heather Tenuto one day, and I had just started a new role, and I told her, man, I'm really feeling out of sorts. I felt like I couldn't get anything right, and I was just drowning in what I felt was imposter syndrome. For any of you that know Heather, in true fashion, she kind of growled at me, like, never say that again. She was like, imposter syndrome sounds like a horrible disease. You don't have the plague, you're having a temporary reduction in confidence, and it's normal. Let me just say that again, ladies, it's normal. And we should all just own it, move on with our day. Every powerful woman I know has a tell of failing spectacularly. I got a few examples for you. One night, I hosted what I thought was going to be this fun, fancy dinner for my team, and right at the beginning of it, I set fire to the breadbasket. Awesome. But thankfully, that was before cell phone cameras were really a big thing, so I was saved from that social media disaster. We ended up eating pizza and sipping whiskey, of course, and just laughing and getting to know each other better through that. I really designed for what I thought was going to be connection with the team, and because of some chaos, then we got that freedom from perfection. And pizza and whiskey are always good choices. So being perfectly imperfect is something that I've come to embrace and love. It's truly where the magic happens. I do a little bit of public speaking for Lenovo and at conferences and different partner events. But not every event goes well. Definitely doesn't go according to plan. So picture this. I'm up here, I'm doing this keynote on relationship best practices. It's been kind of a crazy time, so I was just relying really heavily on the confidence monitor, and I hadn't really practiced at all. And then there was total blackout on the screen. No slides, no nothing, lots of panic. So I tried ad-libbing, and I just kind of mashed together all of this word vomit and crap that I could come up with at the time. And then all of a sudden, I just stopped, and I owned it. And I told the partners what had happened and that I wasn't fully prepared for them. And then I opened it up for open Q&A. I was embarrassed and mortified, but we were able to cover all of these topics that were top of mind for the partners. And it turned that challenge into a really impactful and relevant experience. It became one of the most valuable sessions that I've ever had. And so sometimes the best outcomes are born from that chaos and from some of those moments that we feel like, oh my gosh, I'm never going to recover from this. It's about how we kind of flip that perspective on its head and find that silver lining in some of the challenging things. So let me ask you, what's one messy moment in your life that turned out to be a blessing in disguise? Just shout out some examples. None? I mean, I got 100 more. Definitely messy. I heard somebody say having kids. There's some different vacation battles there. I hear a lot of them. Like, all of these things are about overcoming challenges and embracing the chaos that is life and finding the joy within that chaos. When you give your permission to be authentic, to pivot, and to take risks, and yes, to mess up, you clear the way for resilience, for joy, and for true growth. And that, ladies, is intentional living. And it is the ultimate power move. So let's maybe take a recap. I have a few minutes left. The blueprint for designing that life that you love. First, defining what you love, losing the guilt. Each and every one of you have passions, and they are all valid. Even if they don't fit a job description or match what maybe your judgy sister-in-law posts on social media. I got a few of those. Be intentional with your choices. Guard your time and your energy like it is the treasures that they are. And do what you love with that time. Design for freedom. Maybe I should have advanced the slide. Embrace the mess. Live authentically. Your authenticity is the most badass thing that you bring to any table. Embrace it and celebrate it, and I promise you, everyone else will too. The life that you want isn't waiting for you at the end of a promotion or a perfectly color-coded calendar. It's here and it's now in the choices that you're making today. Fulfillment and freedom are not destinations. They're daily practices. So imagine that you're the architect, the artist, and the CEO of your own life, because you are. What are you going to design today? What are you going to say yes to? And more importantly, what are you going to say no to? If you just make one intentional choice before your next cup of coffee, you're well on your way. And remember, life isn't about finding yourself. It's about creating yourself. And as badass women, you have the power and the vision and the humor to design a life that you truly love. So let's all go out there, build something beautiful, and don't forget to enjoy the pizza and the whiskey along the way. I look forward to seeing you all at the bar tonight. Thank you.